Alright, I'm taking a page out of Nostalgia Critic's book for this one. So we all have those movies that we don't usually share with people in fear of being judged because the film is usually regarded as bad. But a guilty pleasure usually isn't something you should be embarrassed of. I make fun of my family's taste in film all the time, and I probably like way worse movies than they do. So I've gathered together a list of 10 movies in no particular order that I enjoy but are not very highly regarded movies. So this is 10 movies I like that most people dislike. Number 1 is the remake of Friday the 13th. So get ready for this one. Like, are you ready? Okay, here it is. I hate the Friday the 13th movies. All of them. Even the original one. They are so insanely bland and uninteresting that I cannot stand it. My friend and I used to rent dumb horror movies all the time, and we got to believe I think it was the 5th one, and oh my god, it was the biggest fucking snore fest ever. It's the only movie on my IMDb ratings that I have as a 1 out of 10. So what is it about the remake that I do like? I guess you could say that when comparing it to the other ones, in my opinion, it's so much better. It looks nicer. I care a little bit more about the characters, even though they do make stupid, idiotic choices like in the originals. Jason looks much bigger and badder than he ever did, and we skip most of this bland origin story and get right into Jason slaughtering people, because face it, that's what you're here to see. I believe they're remaking it again, and hopefully they'll finally do this franchise a little bit more justice that it should be deserving, because it has the makings to be something great, but in my opinion, the whole thing right now, it's just meh. Number 2 is Gamer. Released in 2009, Gamer is about a distant future where video game avatars are replaced with real people, with 2 main games taking front and center. One that is basically The Sims, where people can be paid to be controlled by others for the day and interact with other people who are doing the exact same thing. The other being a first-person shooter where the avatars are prisoners on death row, and the only way they get to stop playing is if their controller can win 30 games in a row and keep their person alive. This is a really cool concept to me, and the film, I feel, captured it just as well as it should have. It's super entertaining, the action scenes are totally badass. It's shot really well, though it does have pretty bad shaky cam at times. The acting is pretty solid, and the concept alone is enough to keep my attention. Thankfully, I felt it was well executed enough. Could it have been better? Obviously, but that doesn't mean it's an awful movie. At least to me. But hey, my list. Number 3 is SpiderMan 3. Emo Peter was dumb. I agree. It was dumb. But I will not deny that it was absolutely fucking hilarious. Spider-Man movies have had my heart ever since I was a little kid. Spider-Man 2 is one of the first movies I remember seeing in theaters. This movie has been the butt of so many people's jokes. I get why, but at the same time, I don't think it deserves the harshness on it. I kind of thought it was good. Not perfect, but still good. I cared about characters, even some of the villains. Venom looked really cool, and yeah, it sucked that he wasn't there very long. The action was super fun, and overall, the whole movie is just super fun. Except for Mary Jane. I fucking hate that character. Though, I've hated her character in every single movie. I could do a long rant about that character, but, not right now. Number 4 is The Amazing Spider-Man. Hey, look, he's back already. I can agree that the sequel to this movie wasn't very good, but I will stand by the fact that this is a pretty great reboot, in my opinion. Yeah, we had to sit through the origin story again, but I cared about these people just as much as I did with the original ones. Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man and Peter Parker to me, and it makes me sad that he doesn't get to be him anymore. They stuck closer to the comics, which ended up working pretty great, and I wanted to learn more about all these characters, but then the second one came along and tried to cram in way too many people's stories, and then I just didn't give a shit about anybody. Number 5 is Oz the Great and Powerful. I personally really enjoyed this movie. As a guy who doesn't really like The Wizard of Oz, and yeah, I said it, I'm not obligated as a film critic to like a movie just because it's considered a milestone in cinema. I can still think it's really boring and cheesy. Anyways, this, however, I did like, and you can hate me all you want for it. It was super fun, super colorful, it was on a huge grand scale, which I love. I liked the people, even James Franco was pretty good to me. Most of the jokes were funny, and overall, it's just a fun time. I mean, not much else that I can say about it besides that I really like it. Number 6 is Chappie. Now, yeah, I forgot to do a review for this one, and I apologize. I'm a little busy at the moment. So, here's my short review of Chappie. Chappie and director Neil Blomkamp seem to always be under huge scrutiny, when personally, I like all of his films. District 9 is one of my favorite movies, no matter how overrated people say it is. Elysium was pretty fun, and Chappie was just all around adorable. Yeah, the focus was a little too much on Dee Ontward, but they managed to make them somewhat likable people. I wanted to see the characters come out alright, and the action scenes were really intense and got my heart racing. When characters died, I felt bad, even if they were technically bad guys. The acting was solid from everyone in my opinion. People say Dee Ontward were horrible, but as someone who's been exposed to them a lot, thanks to my best friend, I can say that if they're playing themselves, which they are, then they hit it pretty well. I've seen them in interviews and stuff, and that's really how they act in real life, so they did a good job acting as themselves. The CGI was pretty damn great, and didn't really even deteriorate when people came in contact with Chappie. Overall, it's super fun and super adorable, and most likely I'll be getting the Blu-ray of it. Number 7 is the remake of Fright Night. As I said back in the Friday the 13th one, me and my friend Wine used to love going and finding whatever horror movies we could and watching them no matter what it looked like. So about 2 years ago, I noticed Fright Night and I thought, well, we've never seen that one. After watching it, honestly, it became one of my favorite horror movies, if you want to call it that. It's more of a thriller, it's not very scary. All the acting is solid, all the jokes worked great, it's insanely fun and captures the kind of vampire I like really well. Very suave, but they're like vicious monsters when you're not looking. They also actually die in the sun and not fucking sparkle, so we get that. The characters were likable and fun to watch, and overall, it's a very solid vampire movie, and I wish I could find the fucking Blu-ray for it. Number 8 is Looney Tunes Back in Action. I love Looney Tunes. I haven't embraced my love for them lately, but they've been a part of my life since I was a little kid. So when I was in about 2nd grade, this movie came out, and I ate it up. I just rewatched it and rewatched it all day, every day. And so these days, well, I still think it's pretty good. Don't get me wrong here, the animation interactions with the people is pretty awful by today's standards. But it's still super funny to me, and all the pop culture jokes and fourth wall jokes still hold up really well. Especially this wall-breaking joke.
Well, that's just cheating.
Maybe someday I'll make an actual funny joke. Number 9 is Push. Recently, me and my girlfriend were watching this movie, and I think I started realizing I'm more sold on the concept of this movie than the actual movie itself, because yeah, it's a little messy, but overall it's a pretty good time. The designs of the powers are pretty sweet, and the action scenes are handled really well. Also, the effects to me are pretty top-notch. I mean, not a ton to say on this one, other than the fact that it's a really good concept, and I guess it just wasn't executed exactly how it should have been. And finally, number 10, the Jurassic Park sequels. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. The Jurassic Park sequels? Maybe 2, but not 3. Come on, man. What are you thinking? But hear me out. That was a Game Grumps reference. I'm so sorry. Where can you get a decent dinosaur movie anymore? Think about it. Has there been any good live-action dinosaur-based movie outside of Jurassic Park that was good? Like, think really hard. Any live-action movie based around dinosaurs. Go ahead. I'll give you a second. Yeah, there's not really any, is there? So when I watch these movies, I just think, well, at least they're not horrible. Yeah, this shit was stupid.
Alan.
But can you deny that any time a dinosaur was on screen in most of these movies, it was pretty awesome? No matter which movie it was. Like, yeah, the Spinosaurus killing the T-Rex sucked, but hey, you get 3 of them in the second one, so go enjoy them there. My thing is, I'm never watching these movies for super enticing characters. And me, I love super enticing characters. That's what makes a movie for me. That's just not what I'm here for. I'm here for badass dinosaurs doing badass dinosaur shit. And I get that with all these movies. So how could I not enjoy them? So what movies would you consider your guilty pleasure? Just comment down below and like this video if you enjoyed it, because maybe I'll do The reversal of this with 10 movies that I hate that most people like. But, you know, only if you guys like this one. There's stuff flying out the doors. Where is he? I can't find him!
This guy is the best hider ever.
As you're saying that, I've got
He must be some
of that guy and the guy on the lamppost.